something I've been thinking about a lot lately, and the more I watch people, the more I really believe this is one of the deeper things happening underneath so much struggle. And it's this: when people feel disconnected, they start looking in the wrong places. And I think that is happening all the time. When people feel off inside, like unsettled, restless, empty, disappointed, anxious, disconnected from themselves, disconnected from peace, disconnected from purpose, disconnected from trust, they start reaching. They start reaching outward for something that will hopefully make them feel better inward. And again, I say that with so much compassion because I think this is one of the most human things we do. We look outside ourselves for relief. We look outside ourselves for peace. We look outside ourselves for validation. We look outside ourselves for certainty. We look outside ourselves for worth. We look outside ourselves for comfort. We look outside ourselves for control. And that search can take so many different forms. Sometimes it looks like food. Sometimes it looks like overthinking. Sometimes it looks like trying to control people. And sometimes it looks like staying busy all the time. Sometimes it looks like achievement. Sometimes it looks like scrolling. Sometimes it looks like shopping or chasing success or obsessing over mechanics or outcomes. And sometimes it looks like trying to force life to finally cooperate enough for you to feel okay. And I think one reason this matters so much is because a lot of people, they don't realize what they're actually doing. They think they are just solving a problem, or they think they are just trying to feel better. They think they are just trying to get through the day, or they think they are just trying to fix what hurts. But underneath it, there is often a much deeper pattern. And the pattern is, I feel disconnected inside, so I'm reaching outside. That is such a powerful thing to notice, because once you notice that pattern, now you're not just blindly chasing anymore. Now you can ask different questions. Now you can slow down enough to say, what am I really feeling right now? What am I actually looking for? What am I hoping this thing will give me? Is this really the right place to look? Or am I asking something outside of me to solve something deeper within me? And that's where wisdom starts. I think so many people are exhausted because they've been searching in places that cannot truly give them what they're hoping to receive. And that doesn't mean outside things have no value. Of course they do. Relationships matter. Success matters. Food can be enjoyable. Comfort matters. Rest matters. Circumstances absolutely affect us. And I'm not saying the outside world means nothing. I'm saying a lot of people are asking outside things to do a job they were never meant to do. And that is where so much suffering gets extended. So as an example, a person may think, if I can just get this one person to understand me, then I'll feel okay. Or if I can just lose this weight, then I finally will have a feeling of peace. And if I can just hit this next milestone, then I'll finally feel secure. If I can just get my life more organized, then I'll finally settle down. If I can just get through this season, then I'll be fine. If I can just control this outcome, then I'll feel safe. And while, yes, certain things may help temporarily, the deeper feeling often keeps returning. And why? Because the outside thing was never really the answer. It wasn't the whole answer, I should say. And I think that is one of the hardest truths for people to accept, because it means we can't keep outsourcing our inner life. We can't keep handing the outside world the job of making us feel whole. We can't keep expecting food to do all the comforting. We can't keep expecting success to do all the validating. We can't keep expecting another person to do all the calming. We can't keep expecting circumstances to do all the stabilizing. So at some point, we have to begin returning inward. And I think that return is where a lot of healing begins. Not because it fixes everything instantly, not because life becomes perfect, not because discomfort disappears, but because once you start returning inward, you stop living in that desperate reach. You stop living in that constant sense of what out there is going to save me now. And that's exhausting. And I think that's one of the reasons so many people stay tired. Not just physically tired, emotionally tired, mentally tired, spiritually tired, because they're constantly reaching for the next thing, the next fix, the next answer, the next relief, the next reassurance, the next improvement, the next outside condition that they hope will finally settle something inside. And that's a hard way to live. And again, I think most people don't even realize that they're doing it. So one of the most powerful things a person can begin practicing is noticing the reach. That's just step one, just noticing it. Not judging it, not shaming it, not making yourself wrong, just noticing. When I feel off, where do I go? What do I reach for? What do I fixate on? What do I start chasing? What do I start believing I need in order to be okay? And that is incredibly revealing because your reach tells you a lot about where you think relief lives. And sometimes that alone is the light bulb. So to realize, wow, I really do keep going there. I really do keep expecting that. I really do keep reaching for the same thing, hoping it will give me something deeper. And when the next step is asking, what am I actually needing? That is such a different question because sometimes what you are reaching for is not what you truly need. Maybe what you need is rest, maybe truth, maybe grief, maybe stillness, maybe reassurance, maybe a breath, maybe connection with yourself, maybe a softer inner voice, maybe support, maybe presence, maybe to stop abandoning yourself in the middle of discomfort. And that is a very different thing than just grabbing the next outside answer. I think this is one of the reasons mindfulness matters so much. Not because mindfulness is trendy, and not because it sounds nice, but because mindfulness helps interrupt the reach. It helps someone stop long enough to notice, what is happening in me right now? Where am I? What am I feeling? What am I doing with this feeling? What am I trying to get away from? What am I trying to get from outside myself? That's powerful. And I think this is true in every category of life. It's true in stress. People feel disconnected from peace, so they start chasing control. It's true in relationships. People feel disconnected from self-worth, so they start chasing reassurance from others. It's true in weight loss and wellness because people feel disconnected or emotionally off, so they start reaching for food. It's true in performance, and people lose connection with themselves, so they start chasing mechanics, outcomes, or trying to fix external randomness. That's true in success. People feel disconnected from inner enoughness, so they start chasing more achievement, hoping it will finally settle them. And that is such a huge pattern. And I think one of the deepest things a person can realize is what I'm looking for may not be in the place I keep searching. And that's not failure, that is wisdom. That's actually a turning point because once you realize that, now the direction changes. Now instead of constantly reaching outward, you begin learning how to return inward. And that return can be very simple. Not easy all the time, but simple. Pause. Tell the truth. Come back to the body. Notice the tension. Take a breath. Ask what you're actually feeling. Ask what you actually need. And stay within yourself for a moment instead of immediately running outward. And that matters. And I think the more a person practices that, the more they begin to experience a different kind of steadiness. Not because the outside world became perfect, but because they stop demanding that it rescue them. That is like such a much freer way to live. So if I were to leave you with a practice for this week, it would be this. The next time you feel yourself reaching for comfort, control, validation, food, reassurance, overthinking, whatever it is, pause and ask, what am I actually feeling right now? What am I hoping this will give me? And is this really the right place to look? And then just sit with that for a moment, because maybe the shift you need is not in getting more from outside. Maybe the shift you need is in coming back to yourself. And sometimes that changes everything. So of course, if you'd like help with this, check out what I offer at dawngrant.com, because I would love to help you.